Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies coming at you with another Middle-earth strategy battle game video. I have already released the video on how to paint the beautiful new Osgiliath scenery. I basically put the feelers out there for whether or not you guys enjoy my content for Lord of the Rings and if you want to see more of it. That video has done quite well. People seem to be interested in Lord of the Rings, so I was going to wait until the new year to really start pumping out videos for that. But since how the response was so good, I thought I might as well sneak another one out a little bit earlier. So today I'm going to focus on the heroes of the new Osgiliath box set. So Games Workshop very kindly sent me out the Battle for Osgiliath box set. And there's of course 3 beautiful heroes in there. Damrod, Madril, and of course the brother of Mr. Boromir, Faramir himself. So I'm going to paint those 3 up in the same video, and they basically share 90% of the same color, so I don't understand the need for like a separate video on each of them. I'm just going to go through them all together. The reason I'm holding up this as opposed to the box set, as you know I usually hold up the box set, is this is the piece of cardstock that's designed to stop the sprues damaging any of the books or kind of reading material in the box set. And the reason I'm showing this is probably the coolest one I've ever seen. Not because of this side, I mean this side's pretty cool, but I mean come on, look at it. It's absolutely stunning. If that's not a reason to buy that box set, then I don't know what is. So, stick around guys and enjoy the video. Okay, and here are the 3 models themselves. If you'll notice, all the brickwork that matches the kind of Osgiliath runes is already done. I wanted to get that dry brush and stuff before I started putting any paint on the miniatures, because I didn't want to hit anything with the dry brush. If you want to know how I did these parts, it follows the how to paint the Osgiliath scenery video that I did last week. A link will appear at the top of your screen now, which will basically mean if you want to follow along with that same guide, you can of course do that. I just had these parts separate from the miniature to make it easier to paint the back of them, because they are pressed up against these quite tightly, and it would have been quite difficult to paint them otherwise. The individual miniatures were sprayed Chaos Black and then gave them a zenithal of Grey Seer, and then we started working through the contrast. So Wildwood was the first color that I applied. Now originally I thought these guys were pretty much all dressed exactly the same. All just painted like Gondor Rangers, green cloaks, brown leather, some black pants, and for the most part they are. Except for Damrod here does not have a green cloak. He has a brown leather cloak, which I did not realize. Main reason I didn't know this is the old Games Workshop one they had on the website had a green cloak to match his brethren. But obviously if you actually check the ones from the like the images from the movie, you will see he is actually wearing a brown cloak. Why that is, I don't know. Is he some sort of civilian militia that he decided to step in and fight? Or is he himself just not have one of the good green cloaks? I couldn't tell you. I used a reference picture off the Games Workshop website for these gentlemen, just to pick out all the different bits and pieces, because they basically have the same color palette, but different parts of them are different colors, which is a little bit annoying. So it means finding all the different parts can be a little bit of a chore. Different color boots, different color belts, different color, but you know what I mean? It's a bit difficult. So I'm just going to follow through and show you how to apply or what to apply with each color. I'm not going to show you every piece on every model, as that would just be a waste of time. So we're going to start with, like I said, the Wildwood, applying that to all the different bits and pieces where the Wildwood is applicable. Jumping over to Black Templar now. So for instance, we're going to go to Damrod here, and a lot of his jacket is black. So we're going to go in and do it. He's obviously got black boots. He is wearing gaiters as well, so they got the Wildwood treatment. And this guy's palette was very much just black and brown, so it was kind of hard to discern which parts of them were which. And to try and make him kind of more interesting, if you know what I mean. A model based around 2 very, very neutral colors, black and brown. You're going to have to do something later on to make him pop. But I think we figured it out, and you'll see what I did later on. When I was applying the base coats in these miniatures like I am now, I did show a little bit more footage than I think is genuinely required. When I go into the layering stage later on, I definitely cut a little bit more back and forth to save a little bit of time and hopefully save a little bit of your sanity as well. Faramir went onto the black with him, and there was very little black on him, to be honest. But we'll soldier through and get the bits on that we need to. Like I said, there are reference pictures from the Games Workshop website, plus the 360s available. Made it a lot easier to find out where I was supposed to paint these bits. Kree camo is then used for their beautiful big camo cloaks. This broke up two of the models very well. One of them with the brown cloak. Be careful not to hit the face or the hair on models like this. Obviously, we're going to put a pale contrast on his face, and we're not going to contrast his hair. We're just going to shade over and layer it. We don't want a big dirty spot of green in the middle of his hair. That won't do at all. I love how quick and easily a base coat of contrast goes on, how easy it flows, especially on things like capes, cloaks, or any fabric, especially ones with as much movement as these ones. One of the interesting things I noticed about these particular models is as I was constructing them, all three of these miniatures shared a small sprue. So I wonder what that means for the future. Like, most of the Lord of the Rings models come out in boxes now, small boxes. And there's some characters I just don't think deserve a box themselves. It's just not kind of worth it. So are they going to bundle some of these kind of smaller characters in with a bigger hero? So obviously Faramir is quite important. But Damrod and Madril, not really that much so. So I think that'll be a great way to do it, adding all these smaller characters. A bit of Guilliman flesh contrast was used to throw over the face and hands of all three miniatures. This step took about 2 seconds. One of the strengths of these models is that they have such a similar palette, meaning the painting all three of them at the same time really does make a lot of sense. Lead belch was used for all the metallic parts, which mostly was the blades of their swords, but they did have a few kind of buckles and belt loops and stuff like that. And like I said, I probably would have missed them if I didn't have those reference pictures open. They've also got gold and silver belt buckles, so obviously discerning either of those is gonna be a pain without a picture as well. Retributor armor was used for the hilt and pommel of the swords, as well as some of those clasps. Rangers are not very flashy soldiers. Obviously they're trying to blend in with their surroundings, so not a lot of reflective surfaces like gold and silver is used in their garb. Same with Faramir. Obviously Damrod's sword is away, he's carrying his bow. Griphound Orange was used to base coat Faramir's fiery red hair. No, his hair isn't that fiery and orange in the movies, but trust me, it works. Seraphim Sepia was then used to wash down all three miniatures from top to toe, except for the brickwork on their bases. We don't want to hit that with any of the shade, as that brick stuff is pretty much finished. So it's a very quick and easy step. And while the shade is drying, I'm actually going to then glue those pillars on the other two bases and add some brown texture paste to their feet. It's just a natural kind of step now. Once the base coats are in, anything we can't hit with the pillars in the way will basically just act like shadow, so it works out perfectly. So here, for instance, is Damrod with his pillar in place and the texture paste done, giving you a much more completed looking miniature and a great place to start the layering from. Madril is the same. Those pillars really do set the models off nicely. I'm not a huge fan of Faramir's pose, jumping over that ledge like that. One of the cool things about it is, though, they do give you an alternative thing for him to be jumping over. Inside the box, they include like a fallen down tree stump. So if you want to have Faramir when he's kind of, I don't know, assaulting all the Mumakils out in the wilds, he wouldn't be jumping over a bit of Osgiliath, he would be jumping over some brush or something. So that works out brilliant. So I love that touch they gave with the kit. Rhinox hide was the first color brown used to layer up all of the leather parts of all 3 miniatures. Taking the most care with Damrod, like I said, with his 2-tone color scheme, he can seem quite dull, even though I think he's a beautiful pose. So we really do want to kind of accentuate those colors he does have. So we are going to go for a double highlight with him, starting with the Rhinox hide, following those long, the flowing cape, leaving all those recesses nice and dark. So it really does stand out. Madril is the same. He's got all the different trim around him. So just make sure you find all those brown parts. Then we're going to jump over to Wa Flesh and we're going to layer up those green camo cloaks. Wa Flesh is a really nice natural green. It matches the cloaks from the artwork pretty perfectly. And at this stage, we don't want to be hitting anything we're not supposed to hit. So just take your time. Leave all the shadows nice and dark. And just hit them like most raised parts of the part that you're painting. Like I said, with the wall in the way, we can't get our brush in behind it to layer up the cloak fully. But that is okay, because that part of the cape would be darker because it's obscured by the wall. Just going to create that natural shadow. Same thing with Faramir. Obviously, because he's in that crazy jumping pose, his cape is kind of furrowed quite crazily, which means the where to highlight is actually really, really predominant. So it's quite easy to do and give you a really nice effect. I've always been tempted to do a full Ranger army for Osgiliath, and that this may be the push I need, having these 3 beautiful characters ready to rock and roll. Corvus Black was used to layer up the black parts of the miniatures. Some parts of Damrod. Madril, I think, has the most black showing on him. His leather cuirass, I don't even think it is a cuirass, his leather jerkin maybe. Down his legs and all those kind of bits and pieces. I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but the reference pictures really did help quite a lot. I think to remember at Lord of the Rings miniatures that nothing is exaggerated or accentuated. There's no heroic scale. These are as they are, so the heads are small, weapons are small. So the detail can blend together. Even on these really highly detailed characters, it can be sometimes hard to figure out where, you know, a belt ends and cloth starts and so on and so forth. So taking your time and really paying attention to your miniature will make all the difference to the final product. Cadian flesh was then used to highlight the skin. As you can see, all I'm doing is a nice simple highlight. Cheeks, nose, forehead, lip. The rest of them is obscured by a beard. But until this point as well, for some reason, even though I had the reference pictures there, I gave Madril a beard. He does not have a beard. So when I was layering in the skin, I basically just paint in the skin around where I had left for a beard. That was my silly mistake. And then obviously all of the hands. Same with Faramir, just focusing on those cheeks, nose, forehead. May seem like an oversimplification, but for tabletop gaming standard miniatures, all you really need to do, and you're going to be left with quite a nice result. We then went to Catachan Flesh, which is a lighter brown again, and then reworked up his leathers, because I still thought he felt just a little flat. Like I said, it's such a nice model. I didn't want to leave it like that. I wanted to make sure that he popped. So I went in and gave him one last highlight on the brown. And I really am happy that I did, because it did definitely broke apart the kind of blacks and the browns. I think if I had left it before, the last brown would have been too dark. And the whole model would have looked too muted. Rakar's flesh was used to highlight the hair on Madril. I also used this color to give all of the fletches on all the arrows a quick highlight. All those feathers. Quick and easy step. Nothing special. Mornfang Brown was used to highlight the hair on Damrod. Once again, this is one of those kind of like silly steps. Take so much time up in a video what to highlight their hair with. Scrag Brown was used to highlight the hair on Faramir. After that, we moved over to Ironbreaker and highlighted the sword and all the gold. So all the silver and gold. Little touch highlights for the pommel and the crossguard of the swords, plus all those silver and gold kind of bits around their belts. Just a few dot highlights, it's all you need. And with that, we have our 3 heroes of Osgiliath fully painted. As you can see, I definitely think doing the extra time on the brown really worked out for this miniature. He looks fantastic. Madril, I think, actually stands out as my favorite 3 that I painted. The green really does add something. If I could go back, I would probably just do Damrod with a green cloak and be damned with how it's supposed to be. I think it would have made him look even better. Faramir, even though he is in kind of a wacky pose, I was very happy with the final result. And that brings episode 2 to the Osgiliath series closed. Okay guys, and there we have it. Faramir, Damrod and Madril are ready to take the field in defense of Osgiliath. As poor defense that turned out to be, but we won't get into that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did and you want to see more Lord of the Rings content, please put it in the comments below. I really do need to find a kind of like a metric to see if you guys are enjoying that and want to see more of it. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you drop a like. If you want to support me and help the channel grow, the 2 main ways to do that is 1, make sure you're subscribed. It really does help out an awful lot. And 2, check out my Patreon below. There's links to that. There's a bunch of different benefits to that, including a private Discord server. And Patreon will, of course, itself get a complete overhaul in January with some extra benefits being added. So the early bird catches the worm. Thank you guys so much for watching the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one.